than they could ever earn in the Palestinian economy. So after a long period of time of nagging to SodaStream and manifestations, and some people in London threw stones on the offices of SodaStream, and Scarlett Johnson, who was a presenter for SodaStream, got insults and threats. So SodaStream decided to move to Israel. 600 Palestinians lost their work. How does that promote anything positive? So I told the guys today in Trondheim, do you want to contribute to peace? Do you want to help the Palestinians? Do you want to help us? By boycotting, you achieve only one thing. You may feel better about yourselves. But in reality, you do only negative with boycott. This is A. Secondly, when you look who is behind the movement, who are the people who initiated this? A person like Omar Barghouti, who is maybe the founding leader of the boycott movement, he was in Oslo like half a year ago, and he openly said it. He doesn't conceal his thoughts. He said, we are a movement that thinks that a Jewish state has no room in the Middle East. So boycott is not a peaceful move. Boycott is a symbolic move that calls to nullify the existence of the Jewish state. So if you, as an LO member, adhere to the disappearance of Israel, and this is my reading of it, why should I let you in? Why should I? So I agree with you that the issue sometimes makes your and my life a little bit more difficult, but I believe that on the level of principle, we have very good answers.
Well, I actually have a wish for you. When you're talking about boycott from the musicians organization or an LO, what would help us in Norway a lot is that if Israel decided to not let any members of the musicians union enter Israel and the United States, by the simple reason that Norwegian musicians going to Gaza or to the West Bank or anything are always very heavily funded by the Norwegian government or cultural department in Norway. So if you decide to totally boycott Norwegian musicians in the musicians union, that will heavily strike towards their personal economy, actually. Many of the musicians going would really feel that is a very hard strike. So I really beg you to strike hard.
But Lonnie, aren't you a member of the Norwegian Union of Musicians?
No, I said I want. It was a personal statement from my side. I said no ways that I will boycott any Jewish state or any other state.
No, but I believe that there are many members of the union who are not personally boycotting Israel. So why should I punish them? I mean, if I will punish each and every member of a law for a decision that was taken by 200 people in their Congress, then I should ban the entry also for all your diplomats because all of them are LO members.
No, my point is that when you are a member of the musicians union, you pay. I pay approximately 550 Norwegian crowns every month, which is very much for a member to be. So I feel in a way that if you support the union by paying them your money, they are supposed to work for you, not against you. And I think also that many musicians have left the union as well. Erling Midthun, for example, the famous radio talker such as. So I think that okay, it's not 100% fair, but the world is never fair. And I mean, you take a stand when you choose to remain in the musicians union.
Well, I would say the following here. One is, you mentioned the funding by Norwegian government. We are living in a better situation now because this year it is the first time that the Norwegian government declared in the book of the budget that it will not continue to fund organizations whose focus is on boycotting Israel. And this is good news. This has not been the case in the past, and we are in an ongoing, I would say, it's a kind of pedagogic procedure to show the government that the filters and the nets that they put in order to regulate and scrutinize the spending should be more serious than it used to be in the past. And there is an ongoing improvement. I don't know if you heard about the episode that the Palestinians named a school that was built with Norwegian money after Dalal Mughrabi. Dalal Mughrabi is a Palestinian hero. She's the hero because she murdered 34 Israelis in 1978 in an attack against the bus. And many of them kids, of course. So this is a Palestinian hero. And Norway, upon knowing about that, demanded to get back all the money that was given in order to build the school, and Norway got the money back from the Palestinians.
Okay.
So there is a positive change in that respect. Now, I don't know to tell you, again, following the previous question, my personal position is that if a person wants to visit Israel, we should, as a default, let him do so, because he will see what Israel is about. Many of the people who are against Israel don't know what they are talking about, so be our guest. And then also there are many Norwegians who it's not only aha. We had the young guy that what's his name, Kaigo.
Yeah.
And we had some black metal groups performing in Tel Aviv with a lot of success. So
and famous tuba player from Trondheim, Øystein Bolsvik.
Okay.
For several weeks, secretly.
I have a bit different question. Do you think, is there a political possibility for Jews to build the third temple in the next 10 years?
Well, I know this is filmed here, but nevertheless, I tell you, I hope not.
If the Stupid president will move to Israel,
but then it will be too expensive, right? Anyway, look, the issue does not really exist in the cards or in the political agenda. And the people who think that there should be a third temple built in Jerusalem is a tiny, tiny minority. They are, of course, as we live in a democratic society, they are totally entitled to hold their opinion. I think that today this is not something real or realistic that you can really think about as a plan, not for the next 10 years. I don't know if for the next 50. This is something that maybe should wait for the longer term.
Can I say something? I have been tourist in Jerusalem, and that I think is bad with the situation today when it comes to the temple area, as you say. It's not Israel who control up there. They control around with the IDF soldiers and make sure it's no problem, and if a Jew go in, they protect his safety against Arab harassment. But as a tourist, I think these Jordanis are making it difficult to be a tourist there, and it's not good for business either, because when I come to the Kotel, it's totally different. I can come there as a non-Jew, and I respect the Judaism. As long as I respect the Judaism, you wear the hat, and I can pray there, and it's no problem. But inside, where the Muslims are ruling, I'm not allowed to go enter in where Abraham sacrificed Isaac, because I'm not a Muslim, because I look white. And I don't think it's a good solution for an independent country to have their neighbor country ruling inside their own state.
Well,
that is strange for me. It's not logic that Sweden is going to rule inside of Oslo. It's strange. So that's my opinion, but now to yours.
There are two levels here. One is, let me correct you, it's not Jordan who is ruling on Temple Mount, it's the Palestinian Waqf, mainly. Jordan has a position there, but it's mainly symbolic. The real power is invested in the hands of the Palestinian Waqf. Now, do you ask me if this is a good situation? No, it's not. Not only that, if you see the numbers of visitors to the Temple Mount, you will easily see that the number of Muslims visiting there is by far the biggest, and then number 2 is Christians, and number 3, very tiny number, is Jewish. Now you know that the Jewish rabbis, they are divided in their opinion, because some say that Jews should not even go to the Temple Mount until the third temple is built. Others say Jews should go and pray on the Temple Mount. Now today, and I'm speaking from a completely secular point of view, if you are a religious Jew, a practicing Jew, and you want to go to the Temple Mount and to pray, it is not allowed. I mean, there is freedom of religion on Temple Mount to Muslims, but not to Jews. Now, of course, this is, in my secular criteria and view, very wrong. But you have this thing that is called status quo. And, you know, people today say, what a shame. When we took that over in 67, we should have changed everything. But 67 was 50 years ago. And we missed the opportunity in that sense. And today, look what happened. We only, like 6 or 7 months ago, we had this attack, terrorist attack, the first one ever on Temple Mount itself. And it was, you know, it gave in a nutshell part of the complexity of the story, because the terrorists were Israelis, Israeli Muslims, 3 of them. And they came with machine guns, and they killed 2 police officers. Israeli police officers, Israeli Muslims, both the attackers and the victims. Now, Israel immediately took a decision to put electric devices, what we call magnometers, this, like in the airport, when you enter and it sees, it shows if you have something on you or don't.
Metal detector.
Detectors, exactly. So we put detectors after the attack. There was an uproar in the Islamic world that led to that after 1 week, we removed the detectors. Okay. So the Israeli government simply couldn't bear the pressure. And it came not only from the Muslim world, it came also from the United States, from other countries. And this is a minimum, you know, something very minimal that came after a terrorist attack, and we couldn't maintain it. And people told the government before they put it, you will not hold the pressure. But the government decided to do it. Which was, of course, bad, because if you decide to do it, hold the pressure. Because if you don't, it's a signal of weakness. But it was a clear evidence to the fact that it is very difficult, if not impossible, to introduce changes in this direction.
UNESCO has this wonderful thing about the Jews had no historical connection to it. How did they explain that decision?
It's like what I've said about the United Nations. So the United Nations said, so UNESCO said, I mean, science fiction is also literature. What can I say?
They must have one explanation. It's not just yes or no. There must be a reason for it.
There is no reason, like there is no reason to compare Zionism with racism.
No.
This is the product of what we call the automatic majority. You have more Muslim countries than Jewish countries. What can we do? It's a question of numbers. But if, to be a little bit serious, you know, people say, why don't Israelis and Palestinians make peace? If you ask a Norwegian journalist, settlements. Okay. And I say, look at the UNESCO resolution. This has been a Palestinian initiative. Okay. And this is the real reason why we don't have peace. Because they don't accept that we are as natives as them, if not more. That we have our history. That we are not colonialists. This false colonialist narratives that you can hear time and time again. And in the service of this lying, this false narrative, they mobilize the UN, they recruit UNESCO, they pass resolutions, and then people in Norway say, the UN said so. And this is the heart of the issue.
I have two more questions. The first one is, in this room at the moment we have some politicians from Malvik here. So I wonder if we decide to move the Norwegian capital from Oslo to Malvik, will you consider moving the Israeli embassy to Malvik? That's the first question. And the second one is, if you are looking upon the future, which areas and I lost the word, but if you look upon Israeli and Norwegian cooperation in the future, where do you think it will be most likely to come and why? And what are your personal wishes for the future?
Well, I would say that don't move your capital to Malta. to Jerusalem. But I promise you that if you move your capital to Malvik, we will move the embassy. Okay, but you will have to find a good place for us.
We will.
Okay. Regarding future cooperation, I mean, I mentioned it. Basically, we are developed countries. We have sophisticated industry. We have high technology. We should look for the partnerships in these areas. I mentioned I've been in Sintef and I saw that there is quite a surprising number of partnerships that Sintef holds with Israeli institutions, and this is the right direction. No more hands in the air, so I guess everything is clear.
One question. How about Trump? What will he do for the peace of Jerusalem? Just a simple question.
Well, I'm not sure. Nobody knows, basically. Nobody knows. There is some kind of initiative going on. They say that they will present it soon. They've been working on that for the last months. You know, once we knew that the government is a pyramid, I would argue that right now in Washington there is no pyramid, there is an antenna. So there is one element that takes the decisions. But his emissaries in recent months were working in the region. So I really find it very difficult to tell you. I mean, I attended the meeting between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Eriksson Soreide in Jerusalem at the beginning of January. She asked the same question, also because immediately after the visit to Israel, she went with Prime Minister Solberg to the States. And Netanyahu was very open on saying that we may guess some directions, but we don't have a clear picture. So it's very difficult to tell. Trump, everybody knows, he has this approach of a business person. He will present some deal. If the sides decide to take it, good. If the sides decide not to take it, so he will not be emotionally involved. I remember the days of Bill Clinton as President of the United States. He was involved to a point where he could have named by heart the names of the small streets of the old city of Jerusalem because he was looking at the maps all day long. This is not Trump. I mean, Trump will put something on the table, take it or leave it. This will be it. I don't know what it will be. At the meantime, and again, following your question, we are very happy with the decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem. We believe that it was long overdue. We hope that other countries will follow. Until now, we have only Guatemala who will do that. On the ground, we have some positive hints from the Czech Republic, and we hope that gradually more and more countries will do that. It's interesting to notice, coming back to the United Nations, when the Arab group presented the resolution against Trump, there were about 65 states that didn't vote in favor of the Arab resolution. Very few voted against it, but there were 6 members of the EU that abstained, and there were some other countries. So we believe that we have a promising starting point in order to create a movement. As I told you, the traffic jams will deter some, but I hope that we will overcome it.
Isn't it also a problem to negotiate with people who say, like Abbas, they say that before I meet you, we are finished with talking with borders. It's not a discussion. It's an impossible way to negotiate with somebody who say they don't want to negotiate where the border is, because for me it's impossible to get a solution without Israel keeping part of Judea and Samaria. It has to do with defense, first of all. And it's also a problem also to negotiate with people who is not elected by the people. It's Hamas who is elected actually also in what they call West Bank and Judea and Samaria. So in a way, like you started, it must be people who change their heart and want to have peace. And when the people elect Hamas, they're saying to the Israeli people, we don't want peace with you. Or am I wrong?
Well, there is one simple basic truth, and it is that, unfortunately maybe, we do not select our neighbors or our enemies. I mean, if I could have opted for negotiating with the Swiss, maybe it would have been easier, but they are not relevant. I wouldn't overplay the issue of Hamas being elected. No, Hamas has been elected back in 2006. You know that the basic principle of democracy is one man, one person, one vote. In the Palestinian camp and in some other camps, they added, they say one person, one vote, once. So it was one election 12 years ago. Is this a solid basis for legitimacy? I don't think so. And at the end of the day, again, I mean, we signed peace agreements with Egypt and Jordan. democracies? I don't think so. But these are our neighbors, what can we do? It's like people telling us about this improving relations below the radars that we have with Saudi Arabia. How come you are improving relations with such a corrupt regime? And then everybody runs to Iran to do business. I mean, these are the countries that exist in the Middle East. We would like to live in peace in the Middle East. So these are the people, the countries that we have to deal with. I agree that it would have been maybe easier to deal with a democracy, but we cannot choose.
Lead question. You are to.
With your permission, this will be the last one,
Yes.
because otherwise I will miss my plane.
Okay, no problem.
No, please go
The air
ahead.
corridor. I just read the other day about Saudi Arabia. They have opened the air sky for Air India.
Yes.
What it means in practical terms.
Well, it means that, Israelis who like to go to India, and there are many of these, and they are going using Air India and not the Israeli carrier, El Al, because the Saudis opened it to Air India and not to the Israeli carrier. They will have the way shortened in 3 or 4 hours flight, which is very substantial. Of course, you may imagine that the Israeli carrier is not very happy about that, because it creates, in a way, unfair conditions for them. But this is something that they will have to deal with.
What about the tourism from India to Israel?
There is not big numbers. I would say that there is a growing number of Chinese who come to Israel. There is also a growth in tourism from India, but it's not as big. The relations with India are very deepened on the economic level, security cooperation. It's a huge country. It's the biggest democracy, if you like, the most populated one at least. And in recent years, there is more and more importance given and attention given by Israel to its relations with countries in Asia, especially India and China, but also other countries. Thank you very much. Have a good night.